I understand that Mr. Afamosigo is ready for us. Good morning. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you so very much. Good morning.
Yeah. Let's begin with that same issue. Well, it seems that the NBA is also interested in that matter of the aviation regulations and all. Can you talk to us, first of all, on what your take is as an individual and as president of the NBA, how it all went, the legal angles to it, the operational issues to it from your own perspective?
Now, our position was essentially driven by the fact that while the lady was quickly charged to court and remanded, and then a lot of blame was sought to be placed on her, people acted as if how she was treated in being dragged off the plane was not important. Her nudity exposed, the violation of her right to dignity of human person as guaranteed by the Constitution. And then also the fact that a public company, a company, an airline operator as it were, thought it was not important to blur the aspects of the video if they thought it was important to put it out there, exposing her nudity and further degrading her and making her subjecting her to public ridicule and humanizing her. And we also thought that the airline operators of Nigeria and the airline were quick to announce a lifetime ban without a hearing, and we thought that these were important things that needed to be put out there. That people cannot act as if the dignity of the human person of their travelers does not matter, and that they can rush to judgment in a very draconian manner without hearing the other side, without having a dispassionate inquiry and investigation into these activities take place. And then also, something that we would not mention in that statement, which is also should form part of our conversation, is it really offensive for a traveler to put the plane in an airplane mode? Must it be switched off before we claim that it is safe for that passenger to travel with his or her phone? Because there must be a reason for why a mobile phone has an airplane mode. Isn't it sufficient to put it in an airplane mode and be seen to have complied with the instructions of the cabin crew? And also the manner that cabin crew should treat the passengers traveling in them. These will be conversations that will come out of this, whether the charge have been withdrawn or not.
Well, now with the latest developments, the travel ban, lifted, and the reaction to what the musician did also commuted from 6 months to 1 month, and the one for the lady totally lifted off. Do you think there's still a case or just some regulations that need to be put in place? And by the way, we spoke with someone, an airline, someone who has been in the field, and was talking to us about the fact that in different climes of the world, it is, for some people, it is you switch off your phone. For some other people, it is you put it on airplane mode. We also spoke with a pilot who said it's a global regulation that must be complied with, and it depends on which climb. But what is important is that whether at takeoff or at landing, the phone must either be on flight mode or switched off, depending on what the jurisdiction says. But with the lifting of ban of these whole commuting that the aviation minister has mentioned, is there a case, in your opinion, or do you think there are just regulations that we need to put in place?
When incidents like this have happened, whether it's that involving one or comfort, they call for public review of how people treat each other, how air hostesses and cabin crew react to certain situations, and there should be established protocol on how a passenger sought to be arrested from an aircraft should be taken off that aircraft. Dragging the person on the floor and down the aircraft stairs would appear not to be one of such ways. I would not want to be the kind of face we present to the world. My understanding that there should be such a protocol that requires that if it is at the point of disembarkation, before like this was, they are bidding aircraft to take the person out of the aircraft. so that it will not be the duty of the cabin crew physically stopping a passenger from leaving that aircraft. And if you look at the video being shown on screen, that is not the kind of way we want to take a person off an aircraft. And so the conversations will center about cabin crew behavior, how to treat passengers, and also the procedure to buy a person, whether for a time or for life, and also the process for challenging it, and the process for such a hearing to take place. That would appear not to be a clear-cut way of doing this, and it appears to be whimsically applied. In one case, which in our view, threatened more the life of the passengers in the plane and the safety of the aircraft. The ban, not life. But for the lady who would appear to be the victim, if one were to believe all the immediate evidence from the whole transaction, from the whole matter, is placed on ban for ban, he has been reversed. But that the pronouncement could be made in the manner and circumstances it was made is what we thought was worrisome, is what we thought there is need for us to talk.
All right, well, I hope we'll be able to get you back, Mr. Sigwe, because one of the things that we've also found out is that since 9/11, since the terrorist attack in the United States of America, the aviation industry, regulations around the aviation industry has completely changed. It's something as simple as raising a hand against a cabin crew is considered a terrorist attack. It was a shock to hear that, and I'm pretty sure that so many people were not aware of that. So sometimes simply disobeying the instructions of a cabin crew is considered a terrorist attack. And I don't even think that to a large extent a good number of people are aware of that. Nor do I think that even some of these cabin crew, the operators of the aircrafts themselves, have this understanding, you know, as big as it is. How much education, in your opinion, do you think is lost for now as far as this matter is concerned?
I think the incident. Well, okay. Oh, I thought it was not me. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Sigwe, for you.
Me? Sorry, I lost it there for a while.
Mr. Sigwe, for me. Yes, it is.
Yes. If I am to judge or to comment based on the video footages I've seen, it shows that there is need to educate our air cabin crew much more. The conduct they exhibit, they are overly sensitivity to so many incidents that they should let slide. Their inability to ignore some things or let some things slide, to be able to de-escalate situations, to try to be too powerful and to show that they can take you off an aircraft or get you arrested. I've traveled a few times and I've heard such threats being issued. If you're not careful, we'll call security for you and you'll be removed from this flight. The tone of language, the approach sometimes, they're unnecessary. There should be a high level of civility, except where the person proves to be such a person that the behavior cannot be condoned in an aircraft or could pose a danger to the safety of the aircraft. So there is need for us to also appreciate that sometimes passengers feel that airlines don't treat them well, especially where they have kept you waiting for a long time, nobody apologizes, and people talk to you the way they think that you deserve to be talked to. So there's need for there to be some understanding, for better protocol on how some of these things should be handled, and also for passengers to also understand their legal obligations when flying in this aircraft to ensure that there is safety and orderly conduct in these aircraft. So there's need for training on everybody's side, and everybody have a responsibility to ensure that there is orderly conduct and behavior in this aircraft.
It's cheering that you've balanced it there, because part of what I've also seen is that since 2001, one of the things that's globally checked before you get on an aircraft is what they call behavior detection. In fact, they have behavior detection officers in some climes. Now, given all that has happened and some of the reactions that have been coming back and forth, Mr. Sigwe, it seems that the trust quotient between the governed and the government is so depleted, and this experience that we are having, these two incidences, have exacerbated it. How do you think we can reverse this trend? Because the fact that we don't trust the system, the fact that we don't trust the authorities, could also have been part of what we are experiencing, don't you think?
I mean, it will be putting it mildly if I say that the average Nigerian has a distrust of government or persons in authority, be it especially law enforcement agents and politicians. And it even pervades all sectors of the society, even among lawyers. They also have a distrust of their leadership, including myself. And so we all have a duty to ensure that we deliver on electoral promises, that the people say that we are there to serve them, not to lord it over them. And that also that, as we say in Nigeria, the dividends of democracy get to the people. Our inability in many instances to be representative of the people and to have bear true fidelity to our promises and be seen to be there for the people sometimes lead to this. People have become very skeptical of government, and that's why people will readily accept a bribe. I call that a bribe or an inducement during elections to vote for particular candidates because they believe that that may be the most they can get. So it's not limited to the aviation section. It's a societal thing. It's systemic. And until people see that governments work and do what they promise to do, for so long will it remain.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that Mr. Akande would have a word or two on that as well. But let me take you up on one or two other issues. For now, the ICPC has raised issues about the integrity of lawyers. And I'm pretty sure that that is something that is disturbing you. And that's not the first time. You just hinted at the impacts of the judiciary on elections, on the political climate and all of that. How does this come across to you, particularly as president of the NBA? Because I know that you must get some of these reports from time to time.
If you could draw my attention to the particular statement by the ICPC. You know, sometimes in Nigeria, it's very common for people to use, make sweeping statements and use one brush to tie every person. Of course, lawyers have some bad eggs amongst them, but that does not represent the large majority of lawyers. And like most Nigerians, there are many bad eggs amongst us whom we need to discipline and weed out to engender confidence in the people. And we are working with all relevant agencies, FIU, EFCC, ICPC, to see the best we can do to ensure that there is integrity in our profession and that lawyers are part of the global fight against money laundering, against terrorism financing, and other financial crimes. But it would be taking it too far to suggest that lawyers are behind it or lawyers are responsible for it. We know that some lawyers may have wrongly used their professional knowledge and experience to aid some of these activities. But that does not represent the face of the legal profession in Nigeria. And we have a big battle to fight in Nigeria to rid our society of corruption, financial crimes, economic crimes, and other criminalities that affect people's perception of Nigeria. We need to all join hands in this. We should go beyond blaming people, name calling, and get to the root causes of these problems and tackle them with every hand being on deck to ensure that we build a kind of society we'll be proud of, that other persons would want to deal with or do business and or even live in or go for holiday.
The chairman of the ICPC, Dr. Aliyu, actually just spoke about that when he received the chairman of one of your branches, the Gwagwalada branch. But he was actually, in a way, talking about mentoring or mentorship of younger lawyers who begin their career, that they should begin their career under the guidance of senior lawyers who possess unquestionable integrity over time. I don't know if you can speak to that, whether or not there is that mentoring system.
So, I mean, that's a sound advice. You want to be mentored by a person who will be a shining example. I like to tell a story of a man who was seated quietly in a train with a small child, and both of them were reading a book, while some other children made the loud noises. And upon being questioned by another parent on how he was able to do that, and he said, if you want to get a child to do something, you have to do it and yourself. The children learn to do things by watching. So it is with the legal profession. If you work with a lawyer who has integrity, who works with the highest ethical standards, and does work that meets international best practices, you're most likely going to be like him because he leads by example. Good comedy, they say, bad comedy, they say, corrupt good morals. So if you're a good person and you work with a bad person, and you continue to work with that person, you may, if care is not taken, come to take bad behavior as being an acceptable norm, and you may be corrupted by the same. So his advice is very sound. For young lawyers, you need to bring them up the way they should go. Tell them the right thing. Tell them the imperativeness of complying with the rules of professional conduct. That is the only way they will turn out to be good lawyers and be able to do that which is expected of lawyers, and not being a tool in the hands of clients or criminals to do the wrong things that portray the legal profession in a bad light.
Well, there's also that, now that you speak about that, there are some ways in which people have questioned the independence of the judiciary, be it at the federal or state level, particularly at the state levels, where the executive arm of government, I wouldn't want to say a governor, where the executive arm of government provides certain things for the judiciary, surreptitiously expecting them to return the favor one way or the other. And in fact, in some cases, there are those who have said that because one individual is building courts or facilitating some activities for the judiciary in a particular environment or in a state, that the fellow is in control of the judiciary. Is that something that is concerning for the NBA? Is this something that is troubling?
It is concerning to us that the governors will do things for the judiciary as if they were doing them a favor. And oftentimes it's annoying seeing some governors talk about how, oh, I give cars to my judges, or even invite the judges and do a public presentation of vehicles or some other material to the judiciary. We believe it's demeaning and ought not to be. The judiciary should be an independent, though coordinating part of a government, but should not be demeaned or reduced to such a point where they should be given handouts as if a favor was being done to them. There's no way you can convince any person that the judiciary that finds itself in such a situation is independent. Never. Even if it is really independent, the perception will always be that they are the beck and call of the executive, and the executive will always bend them to their will, and they always do things that please the executive. Otherwise, those handouts will cease. Our position remains that if there's money, if there's anything needed by the judiciary, be it vehicles, courtrooms, and other infrastructural needs, they should be budgeted for in the judiciary budget, and the judiciary should be allowed to execute them. And nobody should give us the excuse that the judiciary is not able to do them, that unless you do it for them, the money will be embezzled. They are not trained in this. That's why they have a bureaucracy. That's why they have professionals employed in the judiciary to handle these things. The executive should not emasculate the judiciary, reduce them to a whipping boy or to begging. It's a beggarly situation where you see a chief judge continually visiting the office of the governor to beg that certain releases be made to them, that certain things be done to them. It demeans the judiciary, it robs it of its independence, and makes it difficult for the people to trust that such a judiciary can be independent. And happily, it is not so at the federal level, and we think the states should, as a matter of urgency, if they haven't done that, any state that hasn't done that should do so, because justice is rooted in confidence. And any day that confidence is eroded or is seen to be gone, the people's confidence in the judiciary or its ability to do justice will forever be eroded.
So let me ask you pointedly, Mr. Osigwe, is the Nigerian judiciary independent, be it at the federal level or at the state level?
I've talked about the federal level. If you talk about financial autonomy, then to an extent we will say yes, it is independent at the federal level. At the state level, the answer would be a resounding no for majority of the states. Most chief judges still go to the governor for approvals, even for money for medical treatment, for foreign travels, or for training. It shouldn't be so. I mean, there may not be any publicly available evidence that the executive tries to put pressure or coerce the judiciary to give judgment. But to the extent you try to, any executive that tries to control the purse strings of the judiciary, to the extent that happens in any state, to that extent can one body say that such a judiciary is not independent, no matter the story you tell.
Just a quick one, and before we take a break, and then I'm pretty sure Kayla would also want to be a part of this conversation. You recently took on the police concerning the probe of the Anambra State Attorney General. There are those who would say, on the one hand, the police has its job to do, as because of the IGP's police monitoring unit. because they invited him and released him on bail and all. For you, what are the issues? Is this part of the challenge to the independence of the judiciary, in your opinion?
Well, the Attorney General's office does not form part of the judiciary, but part of the administrative justice system. And the Attorney General of the state and that of the Federation have been given powers to take over, continue or discontinue proceedings. And the facts of the matter in Anambra would appear to suggest that the Attorney General of Anambra State or the Minister of the entered a nolle prosequi or a withdrawal of a pending criminal charge. And then the police alleged that the process that led to that, there was forgery contained in that process. And mind you, the Attorney General never complained to the police that her document anything was forged. And the police thought that it was a matter for investigation. And we felt that this was an attempt and an overreach by the police, because even the courts have consistently held that even the judiciary cannot question the reason, the correctness or otherwise of a decision by an Attorney General to discontinue a case. So if the court cannot question it, then who is the police to investigate it or purport to have power to investigate it? That decision may not be a legally sound one. It may not be a politically sound one, but it is for the Attorney General's employer, the governor, to determine whether the Attorney General still meets the need for why he appointed him or her. It's not for the police to investigate. It's an overreach. The police has no such constitutional power, and they cannot hide under the power to investigate crime, to try to emasculate the exercise of constitutional power by an Attorney General. And for us, that is an overreach. That is a territory that if the police is allowed to enter into, tomorrow the police will also invite a judge or a judicial officer for giving judgment, even where there is no basis for such an inquiry. And we should not encourage it. And we condemned it, and it should never happen, and should not be encouraged, and should not even be thought of.
I mean, Mr. Afam, there isn't enough time for us to have the conversations that we need to have, Mr. Afam. Just to get your closing remarks as we wrap up with you, your closing remarks on a lot of the issues that have been raised. You know, we're looking at the integrity of lawyers, also looking at the River State money, that 300 million that that caused a bit of a ruckus between the River State sole administrator and the NBA. If you can give us an update on that one before we wrap up.
On that, we got sponsorship from River State, and that was it. And I don't think there's any more controversy surrounding that. The conference was moved from River State, and the money was not for any hosting rights. And I thought we have moved beyond that point. And it's interesting to know that our conference commences in Enugu from next week, Friday, August 22nd, till the 29th of August. And we hope that conversations that will address so many issues besetting Nigeria will be discussed there, ranging from security to the economy, and to self-economic sufficiency and independence, and so many other things.
Mr. Afam, was it 300 million? Was it refunded?
I said I thought we were beyond that.
because that's the statement that we're getting from their side, is that they asked for a refund of the money. I wanted to find out from you if that refund was made.
And I said I thought we were beyond that. We were giving money for sponsorship, and that was it. Nobody bought anything that we couldn't deliver. So I didn't think that conversation is an ongoing one.
All right, well, we have to thank you so much, Mr. Afam Osigwe, the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, for being with us this morning. Thanks again for speaking with us.